So now for some of the P31 items that you get is you have the red brake calipers with bigger brakes. You have this nice carbon spoiler. It's really, really beautiful. And on the exterior, that's it for differences between the P31 and stock. Now, sorry for all my stuff back here. The back seats, there's a fair amount of room. I just love how these bucket front seats look. I've never personally sat in the back seat yet because I've had no reason to. This is the interior. It's lived in. It's not the cleanest at the moment, but it's simple and it works. So for starters, I hope everybody is having a great day. I realize that I've given you guys a lot of dynamic driving content of the C63, but we haven't really discussed its beginnings and how it differs, excuse me, from, there's a lady carrying a stick, how it differs from other C63s. So to start, this is a 2011 W204 C63 AMG with the Performance Package Plus, also known as the P31. So just quickly looking at the cabin, the way you can tell it's a P31 is by this Alcantara steering wheel. And then on the outside, we'll show you a couple other things. But there's sort of a stratification of C63 AMGs. You have the 2009 and 2010 non-performance package, that's one option. You have the 2009 and 2010 P30, which is some different suspension bits along with the Alcantara steering wheel and a different brake caliper and different brakes, of course. Then you have the 2011, which I have, which in 2011 they switched over from calling it P30 to P31. So P31 included, you know, different brakes, but most notably internals from the SLS AMG's M159 V8. So this car actually has a forged rotating assembly and shares parts with the SLS AMG's M159. And additionally, the power, instead of being 451 horsepower, is now 480 horsepower stock. The torque remains the same at 443. Then you, in 2012, have the facelift, which all the pre-facelift cars use the 7G-tronic automatic gearbox, also called the 722.9, which is what I have. Okay, that's all pre-facelift cars. In 2012, when they did the facelift, they changed a little bit of the front end, the headlights, the taillights, a couple other aesthetic things, but most notably is they added the MCT transmission, which instead of a torque converter is a clutch. It's a wet clutch. So it's you know, desired by many because it can be a little bit more aggressive in the shifting, but we'll discuss that a little bit later. So, and then of course you have the facelift cars additionally with the P31. So there's sort of four different options of, you know, four different flavors of C63s of the W204 that you can buy, and they're quite different. Now, this car I bought with 70,500 miles. It was a California car originally. You know, tons of maintenance performed. The head bolt in the 2011 late model year is the revised head bolt. There's a specific serial number that if your engine serial number comes after that, you weren't affected. So, you know, I'll let you guys know that right here, which serial number they changed over to the new head bolt design. I paid $23,500 for this car, and at the time of purchase, it had 70,500 miles. Now, the car had, you know, clean title, everything was great, maintenance was performed, 3 previous owners. The car was originally listed at $25,000, but a lot of people didn't want to buy it because the previous owner still owed money. So I had no problems buying it, but I paid his bank as opposed to him. A lot of people don't like dealing with that, but I truthfully didn't mind because this car is just such a gem to me. So if you can see here, it might be a little tough, but our oil temp is at 159, excuse me, and our engine temp is at 168, the coolant temp rather. So we're still warming up. I'm not going to be going too crazy today because this is more of a, you know, a longer form review. But what I would recommend is that So, one of the biggest criticisms that the pre-facelift cars get, the pre-2012 cars get, is this 7G transmission when you compare it to the newer 2012 Plus or facelift MCT gearbox. However, after driving this car for several thousand miles, really hard on some amazing roads, including when I bought it in California on Angeles Crest, this 7G transmission is not bad at all, and is certainly not worth passing this car over for. So, the mods that I have on this car, I have Valvetronic catless headers, I have a Eurocharged V7 tune, and one of the previous owners upgraded the valve body, the transmission valve body, so that the shifts are a little bit more aggressive, but most notably have incredible downshift blips, okay? So when you put that together, you have C63 Performance Package Plus, updated head bolt for $23,500, bought it with 70,500 miles. That's a stellar deal. It's a really stellar deal, and it's not something that's really easy to find, to be honest with you. I was very thankful, and I'm still very thankful to my friend David Peck, who linked me up with one of his friends who was trying to sell the car, but once again, because he still owed money on the car, he had a hard time selling it. So it was sort of, I was at the right place at the right time, whatever that phrase is. If the upshift is fierce, and so are downshifts. So, and then the downshifts are phenomenal. There's zero criticism to be had on either the upshifts or the downshifts. Yes, the lag is a little bit annoying at first, but you get used to it very quickly. So that's our manual mode. You have 7 gears, 7 is an overdrive gear, and it's really nice because at 80 miles an hour, you're well under 3,000 RPM for cruising, and you get really good. You have a really nice ability to not have any drone if you have an exhaust or headers like I have. So that's manual mode. We'll then come over to sport mode. So sport mode, the biggest difference is that from a standstill, sport mode will default to first gear, whereas comfort mode will default to second gear. So once again, sport mode, you start in first gear from a standstill. It revs it out a little bit more, and it's a little more selective on the downshifts. And to be 1000% honest with you, it's not the fastest downshifting to the gear you need, but when it gets there, it shifts good. So let's see, maybe it'll give me first gear, who knows. So that's sport mode, okay? So comfort mode, a little bit different. It tries to get you to the highest gear as fast as possible. However, you default in second gear from a standstill. So the downshifts are even slower here. But it's important to know that the shift speed at redline or the shift speed itself is the same. Comfort mode is really, the option that I prefer because it's the best for gas mileage because it gets you in the highest gear as quickly as possible. So I just want to see if you guys could see this, maybe not. So we come to a complete stop, right? Still in second gear. This is very light throttle acceleration. So just like that, we're in sixth gear. That was, I have my secondary cats in my trunk. So that's what that thunk was. So one way you could tell, once again, that this is the P31 is that the intake manifold is sort of a darker titanium-ish color, whereas the non-performance packs are, light silver, similar to this.